Thank you for being
talk to
here.
you in
Okay,
about
let's move on to history legend.
Thank you.
Let's roast him.
Yeah. I just want to say to History Legends, dude, you're
Yeah.
awesome. I love your channel. Thank
Yeah,
you
you
for
are
that.
fucking celebrity, you know.
I'm not the guest
enjoy.
here.
I fucking enjoy
Let the
watching
fanboy
you.
speak, boss.
I fucking love enjoy your videos, you know.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
I just
thank
got
you.
a question for you. You know, you always talking about this work stuff about other countries. Let's talk about yours, Canada. Yeah. Is your country ready to mobilize and defend the border against the United States? Some people is thinking about getting your
Can't hear you, dude.
I
Your
can't
mic
hear
is
you.
bad.
my mic is
Your
bad.
mouthpiece is bad. Yeah, we couldn't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, repeat.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes,
Can't
you know,
pretend for us to say no.
is your country ready to defend the border against the United States? Because some people are saying America should get Canada. What do you think about that?
Well, you know,
They already did it.
You don't need to answer.
yeah, I mean,
You talk against BBC fanboy, so
sounds like you want it.
fanboy.
do you have any other question? Because I don't know what to say.
Then something more practical.
History Legend, how long does it take you for making all these videos you're doing, like this one in Brazil? Yeah.
The only thing I can say about him is that where he has a point is that there's no national sentiment in Canada, really. I'm actually preparing a video on the topic. That's why I laughed, because there's no national feeling, but at the same time, there's no hate towards the Americans. So, I mean, there's no real answer. So, would they fight? Not necessarily, because they don't see the Americans as an enemy either.
Well, me and Voz do Povo, we are both from the same civilizational area, and you were just in Brazil. Congratulations for your Portuguese.
Obrigado.
And I was a bit surprised. So you took so many little details that actually it's very difficult to get outside. It's true that the Brazilian society, also like the US society, becoming very polarized. Nevertheless, you showed one side of the story. Did you feel like you should show the other side of the story, or you think it's completely mispresented?
Well, what's the other side?
Well, most people in Brazil would say that, well, of course, criminals are extremely dangerous, but the worst thing can happen to you is to be stopped by the military police, for instance, on the street.
Well, the thing is, have you been to Rio or not?
No, I haven't. I'm Portuguese. We are the safest country in Europe, so there is we have no concept of violence. But if we talk to Brazilians, and we have a huge population of Brazilians, many of them actually leave the country due to violence, and it's actually one of the reasons many Brazilians choose to come to Portugal.
The thing is, and I'll answer two questions at once. The videos take a while to make, right? So the videos take a while to make. It's a lot of research. It takes a while. Now, when you make a video, you have to find a scope of the things you want to speak about. You have to concentrate and focus and try to tell your points as clearly as possible. If you try to go too wide, you might lose yourself and lose the audience in the process. I was thinking, for example, of doing a video on the military history of Brazil, because it's very related to the situation now. When I was there in Rio, I actually took pictures of books I want to buy about all this, the history behind this. For example, Brazil made heavy use of forced slave soldiers in its wars. There's a big history of poverty. There's the Cold War, where there were some communist guerrilla groups. There were a lot of topics that I could have brought up, but if it's just to say one sentence, there's no point. So I just focused on their perspective, worldview, and it's not a wrong worldview. If you see the neighborhoods, the favelas, it is dangerous. And I did talk to people. They say, yeah, it's safer with these guys. Yeah, it's safer with these guys until you cross their path, and then they can do whatever they want to you. For example, if you live in a favela, for sure nobody's going to steal your car and your belongings. But if the guys in the favela next to you, like the gang, the criminals, they have a party until 6 a.m. and you complain, you disappear. So that's how they deal with stuff. They're not going to tell you once, and everybody in the favela is going to understand that they rule, and they do justice, everything. So is it the ideal system? I don't know. And they have heavy weapons. And the police, you can complain. There's a justice system and everything. Who's there for them,
Yeah, I watched that video. I thought it was really well done. Made me go and watch Elite Squad again.
Yeah, the movie is pretty good.
Yeah, well, I thought you were very close to that, in that, like, you weren't shy about talking about the whole problems. Like, everybody complains about Elite Squad, that it celebrates the violence of the military police, but actually those films are very, very focused on the corruption of the whole system. And what they don't do is they don't demonize the police. They actually tell the story about the police being stuck in this system. And I think that's important to recognize, that those police officers are getting paid a wage, right, to go up against people with automatic weapons, right? That's not an easy job to do. And it gets even harder when everybody's blaming you for all the violence. Because the reality is there is violence in the favelas. There is violence in the system, and there's corruption. So yeah, I think it's I think we have to make a hard choice. Do we really want to live without any police force? Do we really want to live in complete anarchy where whoever has a gun in the neighborhood makes the rules? Because you can go to places like that. It's not much fun. So yeah, anyway, I thought it was a good video. You'll probably get a lot of shit about it though.
Yeah, I think we appreciate it. Well, there's stuff that I didn't talk about because of demonetization issues. During that classroom, they showed me videos of stuff that could give people PTSD, but they're completely desensitized to violence. If I can use it, PG-13 words, imagine watermelon axes and stuff like this. These people, they do messed up shit, and we cannot forget what they do to each other. We only see police against criminals, but most of the casualties are actually criminals versus criminals. And they have no shame attacking anyone crossing their path. So that's the reality.
I was also quite delighted for something you talked about, which is professional honor, and you were very good in bringing it up and taking it out of them. And you were actually also fascinated by this code of honor they have. Can you elaborate a little bit more of it, because that was quite
the code of honor in what regards?
Well, you said they try to, especially that battalion you were talking about, that special force. You showed how they try to create a system between themselves that people don't get easily corrupted. Because yes, and that being there for everybody and together, and how to that belonging to this group and how to protect themselves with.
The best thing to say about this is actually, how can I say it? Okay, the big problem in Brazil is corruption, like we said, but it's at every level. That's a problem, at the low level up until the highest levels. Now, a lot of police officers don't feel they're paid enough, for example, to risk their life. So they're willing to take a bribe and go back home to their wife and children. These guys from this elite unit, they're paid more, but it's not the money that motivates them. Like, they're literally filtered out of thousands of candidates for their mental capabilities over their physical capabilities. So contrary to other special forces, which are mostly physical tests and everything, these guys can be bribed. These guys can be morally corrupted. So they have to weed them out too. So that's why you will see older guys too in these units, and not only the young fit ones. Because if they can have a fit guy or an older guy that's morally strong and that will reject a bribe, they prefer the older guy. It's pretty easy. Now the problem in Brazil, in like many countries in Latin America, is that most police officers that get shot is outside of their duty, their hours of work. And that's the difference between a war, is that they have a shift, you know, that they're like everyday people. They work, let's say 9 to 5, and then at 6 they go get the children. But the criminals, they work round the clock. So they will follow you. So if you reject a bribe, they will follow you, and they will try to hurt you or your family members, scare you. And that's the big difference. So how do you solve this problem? It's very hard. I mean, all over Latin America, that's the problem. Police officers are scared and they feel alone. I mean, you're alone. If they target you, they knock on your door, they're going to follow you everywhere. What do you do?
Yeah, I saw in the past a lot of documentaries about the favelas, and it need to be very scary for the police to work there, to operate there in these regions.
Well, most of them are they do deals with the criminals to stay alive.
Yeah, I think you have the part of the corruption in that country just to save your own life, to be able to.
So as long as the criminals don't go overboard, they say you stay in your lane, I stay in my lane, and we don't cross each other's path.
Hey, I have a question here, just quickly. When I was watching your your piece on it, it really struck me, like, is it possible that the West descends into this? Like, can you see a future where that's America, where that's the UK? It's very hard to believe, but why not? You know, people are people. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's one like alternative future for us?
Yeah, because it's very medieval. So if the state loses control, you go back to a very feudal system with warlords. So yeah, any country can fall into this, you know.
I was thinking
so, because you were arguing
collapses and there's a lot of poverty. I can easily see Western cities just becoming tribal and feudal like that, like you say.
Especially if there are weapons. I think the weapons make the flame go massive. So it's the difference between having poor people, but the next step is if they have weapons and ready to commit violence. I mean, there's
drugs cartels.
Yeah. But you argued before that there is an history behind it. No, there is a past. Something happened for these things also to develop, and that was not a short process.
And I think that the process is happening.
To develop
I think, Prada, I think that you're absolutely right, Prada. I think that the process is happening, and I'd like to ask History Lessons a little bit more of a pointed question about this, because I'm wondering if you're paying a lot of attention to the situation of the Texas border. And I'll just say Wyatt made a fucking awesome video about the situation of the Texas border, about 35 minutes. It's a really good overview to go over everything. And if you'll allow me, can I just give like a 30-second intro to what happened in case anybody is missing it? In case anybody has.
By the way, I can stay 5 to 10 minutes and then I'll have to go.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you your opinion and if you're following the situation. So
yeah. So what's your question?
Like, what do you think about the situation in the Texas border? Are you going to be making a video about it? And do you think that that kind of migration that's happening right now, and that kind of state versus federal battle that's happening right now is going to escalate into something that starts to become a bigger war or a bigger situation?
Well, it can only be a migration if there's control at the border. If there's no more control at the border, I think there's another word. Now, the question is why? Why are they not on the same page? Why is Texas and the federal government not on the same page on a question that should be relatively easy to answer? So that's the biggest question, the biggest thing we have to think about.
I think that's why we also should.
Klaus, you had a question.
Yeah, I just think also that's something we need really to take in consideration. We really need to support our law enforcement, because without them, there can be, and we see it every day in the news, many problems, because we always think they're just there, you know, shooting at other people like in the favelas or something like that. But most of the time they're doing also little crime things, you know, and basic things for order and safety for the population. So it's a very important part also of a society to have safety, because without safety there's anarchy, and we don't want to live in cities who go in two directions, where some people can just be in their world and just have their rules, and the other population has their rules. I think it's a very important part. What
the West, I think the big
HistoryLegends, can I ask you something?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
think that
Sorry.
I didn't hear, sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I mean, with your situation in Brazil, I mean, do you think that there is a chance that the government might actually be complicit in that you let these people rule those regions so that you don't have to? Do you think that the government might actually be like, okay, as long as you control those places, we don't have to do anything about them? Like, do you think that might actually be silently, like the government actually wants it to happen?
Watch the movie Tropa de Elite. Watch the movie about Boppy. They explain everything. There's 2 movies. They explain everything, because it's hard to just say it like this in 1 minute. The movie about this elite unit, elite squad in English. You can watch it. There's 1-2 movies, and they explain everything, and it's super accurate.
Yeah, they're both really good too.
So let's Bosch ask, because he has been asking for a long time.
Yeah, but to Rata, just to summarize, the thing is that yes, there's a history to this conflict, but it doesn't mean that if you're someone from the favelas that you necessarily have to take up weapons and start stealing other people's stuff. So yes, there's because they attack people that are defenseless often. You know, they take people's cars, and it's middle class people. So it's not even the rich people. It's normal day people they rob. So yeah, there might be some problems from a historical level, but it doesn't mean that they have to resort to this amount of violence nowadays. So that's why I didn't bring it up, because at the end of the day, the force used is just disproportionate.
Yeah, yes.
I think you need to type the names of the movies, because we don't speak Portuguese. I didn't hear those words.
We're going to say it later. Don't worry.
I've been to Brazil and South Africa. I've been around a lot of countries in my life, and Brazil and South Africa are the most diverse countries I've been in. And everything you said about that video is really 100% spot on. Well done.
Thank you.
But your best video for me was the one about the British Army. You know, that video is underrated. That video deserves more views and more comments, more likes. You know, everything you said in that video is 100% true. Even though most of your source came from GB News, which is like 10 times worse than Fox News, you know? Yes, but everything was 100% well done again. That's all.
There's something I just wanted to add, just to say thank you to you, HistoryLegends, because you were one of the persons that helped me. So that's also one of the reasons I found out about DPA. But thank you for the telling the truth, actually, and the way you're doing. It's amazing. Actually, everybody that's watching now DPA needs to watch your channel. Your videos you're making are so well made. Are you taking also a risk, like to get in troubles with YouTube? But you are one of the reasons why I watch everything that you post, because it's helping me to get over the propaganda and to see what's really happening. Thank you really, really, really for that.
I just appreciate it. Thank you. Your comments make my day.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, I enjoy all your videos, especially anything to do with Wagner. It's always top notch. And I really appreciate you coming in and hanging out and asking questions and taking questions.
Yeah. Can I ask you something? Maybe like what's the riskiest thing?
My turn. I have so many questions, but I will just ask one. What was your feeling or your opinion, if you had one, about the event that occurred several months ago in the Canadian Parliament when they made a standing ovation of old Ukrainian men who fought during Second World War on the wrong side of history.
You know, I didn't even talk about it much because, how can I say, in Canada, there's a lot of them in the west of the country, but there's also a lot of Germans that fought in for Germany that migrated to Canada after the war. One of the reasons is because Canadians treated German prisoners of war so well that the Germans were like, wow, Canadians are so nice, let's move there. So I think for Canadians, there is this disconnection about past events. They're like, yeah, you know, people from all sides came here. You had the past, all type of people that came to Canada. And I think especially during the Cold War, there was a new enemy. So they kind of sheltered these people. I think it was a political faux pas. Was it necessary to bring this guy? I mean, we shouldn't bother this guy either. He's done his life, you know. Bringing him up on stage in the parliament was a faux pas. It wasn't necessary. It didn't bring anything, actually. You know, it just shows how much little history they understand. You know, he fought in the Second World War. Like, it has nothing to do with the current war. I actually don't understand what was the purpose.
Yeah, I wanted to ask what's the riskiest one you ever did? The one that got you scared the most?
Sorry, the what?
What's the riskiest video you made? The one that got you scared the most? Like, what's the most in your head? Which one was like, fuck?
You know, all the videos, you know, when I post, I'm like,
many.
GG, well
Which
played,
one was
let's
like,
go.
fuck?
Yeah, but that's the thing you need to understand, Daniel. He's so accurate and he's talking, and what he's telling.
When I post the video, I publish it. I'm like, let's go.
You know, I've got my last question. When you guys gonna do the dream team again? You know, because I really enjoy when you two and the other two guys get together and do a video. Trust me,
the other two.
Really, I love watching this kind of video. Please get together more often.
It's my fault.
What are the other two guys, Voz? Who are the other two?
Dima from
Union, and the other one is that American guy.
Yeah,
I forgot his name, but he's American.
Yeah.
I really wish DPA would do. Yeah, I really wish DPA would do an open mic with like, you know, history legends and like, you know, maybe one or two pro-Russian guys and then like some big pro-Ukrainian YouTubers like Perun or Jake Bro or something like that. But I kind of feel like the pro-Ukrainians are sort of too self-righteous to come on there. That's just sort of the attitude I get from some of them.
I don't know if they would accept.
Yeah.
It was already awesome.
I think that's
Why do you ever ask them to come on an open mic like that? The pro-Ukrainian YouTubers.
Not open mic, because the open mic is actually for
not the open mic, the super panel. That's what I meant.
So for the super panel, I it's mainly for the main event that time, because it's 1 year anniversary, so I did something special, and I don't want the channel to become like another Duran, which is why I avoided to because if not, I'll be competing with Duran, and then it's gonna be very difficult because I actually want to inform about other stuff rather than just talk about opinions. And of course, there's always plans to have this kind of panels. Like History Legend always say, I'm free anytime. Anytime. Then I was like, it's actually my fault because I have no time.
It's true. I literally tell him, just invite me, make it happen.
But you're always welcome to join if you're doing a live stream. Always welcome.
It was a guest appearance today. He said, hey, let's join. I was like, okay. I saw it was going for 3 hours. I was like, oh.
Another question for you, Alex. Do you think multiple world? Okay. Do you think a multiple world will be more dangerous than what we had, or will it focus and create its own new rules and become a bit smoother? How do you think it's going to develop?
I mean,
without futurism.
If I was honest, I would tell you I don't know. Like, it's out of my
Nobody
scope
knows.
of I'm not a mystery magician guy, but I honestly don't know.
Make a video about it.
Man, there's a lot of videos I want to do, but it's a risky business sometimes.
It's the same story for me. Because me and History Legend we talk a lot, and I tell you, like, just now you guys asked about what is the most riskiest video. I want to laugh because it's like every video is risky. Especially because History Legend, he's an edited video, he need to put footages to make it interesting. And footages is the most dangerous things. That's why my sibling have no footages, because it's so dangerous.
The last thing before I go, there was the moment I released that video about the British military, all of a sudden the British, I don't know if you saw, but the British Army chief made comments. Boris Johnson made comments. Every British general, like in the following days, in the following 24 hours, 48 hours, they all made comments about how they need conscription now. And in the video I said, at this rate, the UK will have to implement conscription, and that's exactly what they said. And
trust me, you hit the nail. You hit the nail in that video. I live in the UK, and you hit the nail in that video.
But
I saw that video came out. Everyone in the UK started talking about it.
The thing is that when I make the videos, often it's just for the lulz, like I publish, I'm like, let's go. But sometimes I forget, like, people are watching. So
any Houthi videos coming?
Actually, I was thinking about it, but I was thinking of doing a part 2 for the British, like with all the comments of conscription in Europe. They all want to implement conscription now, but the real problem again is that they don't see the real problem is that of why nobody wants to join, and that's the big problem. I tried to make the video to show people the problem, but clearly if they only say conscription is the only solution, clearly they're too ideologically anchored to solve the problem, and that's what's scary, actually. Yeah, so if the top guys are too ideologically anchored and they don't see the real problem, wow, I mean, that explains a lot of the problems.
I said it in my closing last week about how bad the British Navy is for the moment, and their military and their Air Force. They just don't find people. They don't are able to have a complete fleet. It's crazy. And then the week after you make a video about it, they're like, did you watch the DPA Open Mic last week?
The other thing about the British is that what's the purpose of the British military in this century? That's a topic I didn't really have time to talk about, but if you think about it, what's the point? They don't have a colonial empire. What's the point? Is it to fight guerrilla war? Is it to fight Russia? Do they need a navy? What's the point of having a navy if the US does everything? So that's the other question they have to ask themselves. For example, with DPA, we often talk about Singapore, the military there. They have a very consistent strategy, very simple, because they know what's up. So they're not going to develop a huge navy to fight at the other end of the world just because it looks cool. So they're very pragmatic with their military and defense industry. But other countries like the UK, I feel they're a bit all over the place. So I don't really understand what they're trying to do. Maybe they don't even know themselves.
Well, they are trying to keep their...
one thing, you can say whatever you want about the British Army, but trust me, when it comes to some more assault and stuff, I think they're the best in the world.
Special forces, maybe.
That awkward silence after.
So I have a question.
Okay,
about
last question, and I'm going. Okay,
so it's on the British Army issue.
It's your question.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So like you highlighted the problems with recruitment, and this is what these guys are talking about, right? But my question is this: are the same issues that are causing problems with recruitment, are they going to cause issues with warfighting? Because I think they will, right? Like I wouldn't join. I know why I wouldn't join the army now, and I liked the army when I was a young man. I don't think it's just recruitment. I think if we get in a hot war now, and I'm talking about we whiting the West, right? We're going to have real problems fighting it, right? It's not just recruitment. prosecuting a war, maintaining discipline, we are going to get smoked if we have to go to war. If we have to put boots on the ground, if we can't just use air power to annihilate some people who've got like, AKs and RPGs, we are going to get smoked. And I think that the only reason that Ukraine's doing okay is because they still have like the Ukrainian sense of discipline. But anyway,
people fall in line much more than we think. Like we all remember during the C words event.
COVID.
Yeah, during the C word event, everybody fell in line, even though they didn't want to. So I think that's one thing. And fighting depends if your country is directly threatened or not. Ukraine, the country is literally attacked. So physically attacked. So people, they will go, even if they have their opinions on the political side of the government and everything going on, they will go. For the UK, they don't have a direct threat. So for sure, people are going to be thinking twice about going. I think it's a natural human instinct,
So you don't think it's a problem if like your officer corps is made up of cross-dressers and...
It is. It's 100%. It is a huge problem. But if there's a real war, are these really going to be the people leading the charge?
How to get rid of them without committing like the sin of wrong thing?
Not to be dirty, Toby.
You know about
it's not just in the army. That's the thing. It's the entire ideology in the entire hierarchy. We see it in the movie industry everywhere. So, but I think I think governments are starting to realize that people are not too down for this.
About 20 minutes ago, you said last question. So far,
I'm very polite. It's my Canadian side.
Trust me, this guy's not gonna let you go.
It's my Canadian side. I'm very polite.
Ask 3 questions in his last question.
I have so many questions. So many questions.
I was just supposed to say 5 words in the thing.
See you, man. Thanks for turning up.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, man. Have a nice one.
Talk to you in private chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.